Okay.
So I've got these cards here, and they're going to tell me everything I need to know about you. Okay, are you ready? Let's see.
Yes.
I'm going to pick one card. Oh, it looks here as if you've been impregnated in the garden, and your daughter's name is Eve. Is that right?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, that's
no?
not, no.
Oh, how about this? It looks as if you have a problem in your kidneys. Is that right? It looks here as if your father was a winged giant. Is that right?
He had very large ears.
Hiya.
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 How you doing?
Doing
How you
good.
doing?
How you doing?
Doing great. Hi to all the listeners out there. We really appreciate you. And stick around till the end of this podcast so that we can show you a picture of our latest Hiya Hat winner.
Winner,
Yeah.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Mhm. And
Exciting.
don't
Got a
forget to
winner.
hit that like button and subscribe button because you'll want to hear everything we talk about because it's so exciting. So please hit that like button. We love that.
That's right. So how you guys doing after our trip together?
Really good.
Yeah, I'm sad we're not together anymore.
Aw, I
So
know.
I miss
It was
you
so
girls.
much fun.
I know. It was so
fun.
fun.
Such
It
a
was great.
weekend. Yeah.
It was so great. We spent a Saturday morning in a little wellness spa. I guess you would call it. I don't know what you would call it. A wellness
Yeah.
spa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd get online today and sort of share our experiences out there for those who are interested in any of these treatments that we had or experiences that we had. We thought we would explain what they were and then kind of give our take on what our experience was with it, right?
Yeah.
So who wants to go first?
I'll do one of my treatments was an aromatherapy massage. And the theory behind that is all of these smells are really supposed to tap into different parts of your psyche or I don't know. But it was
Energy, chakras.
Yeah, all of that. And it was
That
just
shit's
my
just
back.
supposed to get down in there somewhere.
Deep
Seeps
and
through
deep,
your pores.
Yes. And so it was just my back and my feet. And she did like her hand. It wasn't a deep tissue massage at all. It was pretty light touch, but her hands felt like water. They were so like flowy, and it just felt like water. And she used a different smell, but I couldn't, because your face is all bunched up in that thing. It's not like it, because the smell would have come all the way up and under. And I was like, this kind of is weird. But she did 8 different smells and she would do drops of the oil down my spine, which felt amazing. And then she did the same strokes for every single smell aroma.
Nice.
And then she did a little bit on my feet, but not a whole lot. So it felt amazing. It was very relaxing. She was a great practitioner, like really good hands. So it was what, 30 minutes.
Yeah, she came. I was sitting on the couch when you came out, and she came out like she looked so relaxed.
It was very relaxing. Very
I went in
relaxing.
right after. I went in right after, and I had the same practitioner, and she told me I could switch, but which looking at Jen, I felt like I might have because I was like, that looked pretty good, but she was doing reiki on me.
Okay,
and,
so tell us about that.
Yeah, I've never done it, and Reiki is it's just energy. Really, she's using the energy from her hands. She never touched me. So I've always wanted to do this. I thought it was just a fascinating thing. But I'll be honest, I was all in my own head, so I was trying to be like, okay, I'm going to feel the energy. And I will say she first started at my head and it felt like she had a heat gun. maybe she did. I don't know, because it was behind me.
And then
but
I smelled like this burning hair. It was a weird
Yeah.
sensation.
You got
It's a
the
very strong
aroma.
smell. Yeah.
But it was really warm. It was really warm. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I think I kind of expected like it was going to be sort of this, I could always feel where she was. But there were times where I was like, where is she? You know? I mean, I hate to say
I love
it, but
that
I think,
visual of you like peeking, like, and she's under the table. Like, where the hell
know.
is she?
Peekaboo, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't know where she was, and I think I ruined it because obviously
You were
you're not
thinking
gonna
about
feel
it.
anything. Yeah, and so, but I did look up once, and honestly, her eyes were closed and her hands were over me, but then she used a lot of there was a if you know what a sound bowl is.
Yeah.
She did a sound bowl along my body. She checked my chakras. She took a big drum and drummed it over me. So I think it's like the vibrations. It's all about these vibrations of these different things.
Right.
And then she told me that when she moved through my body, she would find like areas that might have pain that she would spend. She goes, what will happen is I'll do your whole body, and then I'll go back to the area that I feel like needs more work. So there was a couple times she was down by my right foot. I'm not kidding. I couldn't even see her head. I didn't know she was really where she was. I mean, it was kind of like, but
I love that.
no, I mean, I just wanted to see what she was doing, I'll be honest, because I just didn't know. But anyway, she was around by my leg, my right leg. And then at the end, she ended up by my right leg too. So, but anyway. And I did feel a little heat down by my feet too, but at the
That
end
was
of
her
it,
breath.
she said, but she told me like we were done, and then she said, I spent a little extra time. Oh, I don't know. I was called back to your right leg. And at the time, this is so silly, but she said, have you had any pain? And I was like, well, I mean, I had a little hip pain that was just happened like the day before, but it was just the right hip. But anyway, when I walked out of the room, I was like, oh my gosh, I injured my knee in volleyball 6-8 months ago.
Very
And
interesting.
Seriously could not walk for a very long time, and I had to have a brace, and I still feel that muscle. So I was like, that is pretty incredible that she knew to go there. And so I think I ruined the whole thing because I just wanted to see what she was doing because I wasn't sure. But anyway, but I do feel like she was very intuitive and very, very good at what she does for sure.
Yeah, she was.
I think I was the one that ruined that. So
yeah.
Somebody asked me about Reiki this last week because I had explained that you had gone through Reiki. So I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because the website that I was on talked about how every living thing has a life energy, a life force that can be measured, including plants, anything, right?
Yeah.
Dogs, everything has an energy
It's all
field.
energy. Yeah.
And they were saying that somebody who's very sensitive, very intuitive, who's really focused on a shift in energy, they can find spots where the circulation is less.
Right.
So like, I guess the healing part is where they begin to bring more energy to that area so that blood flows in there, which obviously brings more oxygenated blood, which is going to heal tissue. So I thought that was pretty interesting because it was a little more, I don't want to say scientific, but kind of like a little more scientific, if you will.
Tangible.
Right.
Yeah, like cranial sacral.
That's
Same
I
kind
think
of thing.
she actually does that too. There.
Does she?
I think I saw it on the website.
What do you mean by that? What is that?
It's a cerebral spinal fluid that goes in your body, but they can kind of feel the pulsation of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jenna, what else did you do? It was short.
I did the dry,
in and out.
I did dry salt. It was, I don't know, it was like 15 minutes. But so she bought these little booths that reminded me of like those little home saunas. It was like a teak wood with a glass door. And I really just didn't know what to expect, but I had a bottled water next to me and I kept thinking, am I supposed to have this water in here? Cause like, I don't know. And so she put
You're such
Himalayan,
a rule follower.
I know. But
Is this
but
gonna
you know what?
blow up?
I wish she would have given me a box of Kleenex. I'm not gonna lie, because she put so it's a little round Himalayan rock salt, and there's like this little I would explain it like a grinder at the top, and you put it in there, and what it does is it grinds it up so it's like a mist. It's almost like it feels like a water mist sort of, because I kept watching it. Of course, I got to know everything going on. So, but then when you do that, it goes into your mouth and everywhere else.
And your eyes.
Yeah. So she kept telling me to like go in through my nose, out through my mouth. And I was like, okay. So the first 5-7 minutes were fine, but she did tell me I might cough or whatever. It got a bit overwhelming, but I was sniffing it because I was like, this will be so good for my sinuses. But I'm not kidding. My nose was running. Like, it was crazy how but it's almost like, I guess, like the saline neti pots.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really did drain. And I'm not kidding. I thought it was great. Like, I would totally do that often. But I did start coughing. And then if you breathe it through your mouth, you just get a whole thing of salt. So it just, it's everywhere.
So it's a little uncomfortable, but if you could have blown your nose, it probably would have been better, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, really, it was just like, it was crazy. And then, of course, I didn't know if could I go out the door while it,
while it was
I'm
in
a rule
session.
follower.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, am I going to ruin something? So I stayed there the whole time.
I've heard it's really good for allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
seasonal allergies.
I mean, I was just like wiping my running nose. I had nothing. So it's really gross. But it was fabulous. Like, it's a good thing. Like, if you have a chance to do that, I thought that was a really cool thing. I would. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was like 15 minutes. It was short.
And I will say, I think that both of those seemed affordable to me. The red light therapy for the short amount of time, and the dry salt. I think it was very
$25
affordable
or something. It was,
but I mean, if you're suffering from allergies, like that's well
good
worth it. Once a week and just go, release. You get that tension right here.
Yeah, it was
that would
wonderful.
be really good.
All right, Tish, what else did you do?
I did the past life regression.
I love this story.
So hypnosis, right? So
it was hypnotherapy, yeah. So it was kind of odd because, she was lovely, the gal, and she explained everything beforehand so that I wasn't nervous, and she told me how it was all going to go down and that she was going to just relax me. And she basically said, when you're under, when you're hypnotized, there's no such thing as losing control. So I heard everything I was saying. I knew that at any time I could get up off the table. It was nothing hokey like that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel scared. But she just walked me back through my life, this life. She took me from 54 and kind of walked down all the way to 9, asked me if I had a memory. She asked me to look down, and I just explained what I saw. Basically, I was in the sandbox with Jana. And, I don't know, that could come anywhere, right? I'm just telling a story. That's what it felt like. I was just telling a memory. And then she took me down to when I was in the womb. And again, it just felt like I was telling her a story. She would ask me questions like, what do you hear? What do you see? And I would just respond. I don't feel like I'm the kind of person that would make something up. But I might have just been making up stories. I don't know, because I was responding and I kept thinking to myself, like, almost like, no, you don't have a memory. Like in my mind, I was like, every time she'd ask me, I'm like, no, there's no memory there. And then that was my mind.
Came out of your mouth.
But something would come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I could hear myself talking, but it was like, where is this coming from?
Interesting.
So
interesting.
It could be like a creative part of my brain that's creating story without me, or it could be the subconscious. I don't know. I can't explain exactly.
how do you make that up?
Yeah. Well, you said
I
you
don't
heard
know.
the heartbeat.
Yeah, like she said, when she took me in there, she said, "All right, how does it feel?" And I was like, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say it now that I'm repeating it, but I was like, "Oh, it's amazing. I love it." And I'm like, I can hear my mom's heartbeat. And then she said, "Do you have a life purpose?" And this is kind of what shocked me. She said, not shocked me, but I was like, God, why am I saying this? But she said, did you come here for a reason? And I said, my mom needs me. And I don't know where that came from. Like
Wow.
I heard myself say it, and I remember my brain going, what? Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like, are you
It's
kidding
like
me?
it's like you're on two different levels.
I
You were
felt
on
that.
your
I felt my
conscious
brain
level.
keeps,
Yeah.
yeah. And my mouth kept just saying
Uh-huh.
blah, blah, So
Yeah.
anyway, and then
So
she took me
wild.
back, she got me out of the womb and she took me back to another lifetime. I don't even remember how she did, I think she was just counting numbers and stuff. And she said, can you see anything? And she said, look down at your feet. And she always started at the feet, and then she, brought you up to like look out. And then she had you look left and right. And you would describe everything to her.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any problem. Like I was like, I'm looking at, I have boots on, I'm a man. And I don't even know if she asked me that. It was just like, and then I said, I'm looking out in the mountains and it's beautiful. And she was like, how do you feel? I'm like, great. And she's like, is there anybody around you? No, it's empty. Just crazy.
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
it's weird because she walked me through that, and then she takes you to your death, and she asks you if there's anything that you want to bring with you back to this lifetime, like life lessons. And then she did it again, and I walked her through, what I thought I saw. And then she wanted to do it again, and I was like, I could just feel like nothing. It was like my brain didn't work, my mouth didn't work. I just laid there. And she goes, okay, well, I guess we're done. And I didn't mean for it to end. It was just like, and I wasn't asleep. I could hear her.
Yeah.
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 And that's all.
That's wild.
That's
I don't
all.
know.
Yeah. That's all you felt were the two lives.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's all I described. Yeah. I mean, that's all I don't, again,
pretty
if I
cool,
told
though.
somebody who had no belief in this, I can see absolutely where they would say, well, yes, you've made all that up. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't say I didn't because it came out of my mouth. And,
Right.
But
That's
it was
crazy.
weird because I will say I know my personality, and I don't, if I were going to make it up, it would be a hell of a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, why did I make it so boring? I had 2 past lives, very boring, very monotonous, and we talked about it at lunch, but it was like, I would have wanted to have a little something like an
Yeah.
oomph in there,
Spicy.
Yeah.
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 or just something that, oh, this was a life lesson I learned. I would think that I'm much more creative than that.
But
So-
maybe that's why you are now. If you think about it, the heavy woman was not creative at all. Then the man got more creative, right? Like he lived alone. He was confident. He had the skills to, survive on his own. And then now you are who you are now.
Yeah, I don't know. But to say the very least, it was interesting, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
But I do think you have to be really open-minded.
For sure.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Yeah. So what else did you
Nice.
guys do?
So we did, Jana and I both did a reading. Jana,
Oh,
you've
that's
had
right.
a reading before,
You did
right?
tarot, yeah.
Tarot card.
I've had one, I don't know, really, really, really long time ago.
Yeah. I've never done it. And I'm totally open to it. So that was not a problem to me. But the advice that Tish gave before, I think really, really helped me. And I'd like to share that with anybody else that is interested in doing this, is you should not go in there and try to test them or try to trick them, because that's not what you're there for. You're not there to see. You're there to just hear them and to let them go with what they're feeling. And that was really powerful for me, Tish, to hear that, because like you said, if she says something that rings true, then, let her go with that and don't say, no, that's not, unless it truly wasn't. but she said a lot of things, and I think Jana and I both agreed that were incredibly accurate. But I think part of that was we were allowing that to happen. You almost have to allow that to happen. You explained it a lot better, but that's what I took from it was if she's onto something, yes, that makes sense. You don't have to tell her anything, but yes, that makes sense. Yep, yep, I can see that. That is going on or whatever. And so I was flabbergasted at the accuracy of the things that she talked to me about. She said before the session, she said, I'm a medium also. So if someone comes and wants to say something to you, are you okay with that? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so, there was a man in a field with his hands on his hips and kind of an old man. So I'm not sure who it was. I couldn't for sure say it was my dad. But it's just a lot of cool things. They talked about business, and she said, are you thinking about a new business, a new product? And I am. And so it was kind of a little bit of just affirmation, like, okay. She's like, you need to do it. Like, you need to do it. Don't slow down. You need to go and do it.
Keep going.
And I came back and did the next step. Like, okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Good for you.
So I was really, really impressed. And she gave me a lot to think about. And the one regret I have that Jana did that I did not is Jana recorded it. I did not record mine. And I really could kick myself for not doing that. So if anybody does it, I would highly recommend. Don't you think? Have you listened to it again, totally Jana?
Agree.
Oh, I've listened to it probably three times, three or four times. Because I do feel like I didn't interpret things the right way,
really?
And then you have to listen to it. It's like, oh, that's not really what she said. What she said was this. But I tried to not really say too much. And then, but then we did dive into like, who would that earth sign be? And, so we dug through dates because it was pertinent to what we were talking about. And I just thought she was really, really accurate. And our readings were nothing alike. So that's the other thing. It's not like she just made general statements that could pertain to lots of different people. And she did felt the presence of my mom. It was just funny the way she said it. She didn't know it was my mom. She just said, she's looking at my palm because she kind of read palms. She did the cards and, she looked at my hand and was looking at lifelines, and there's relationships and she's telling me my life path really got off track, that I really am just coming around back to where I was supposed to be. So I've tried to, there's several ways that I could think about that, different places in my life. But the one thing that she started bringing up, like health and stuff. And then she was like, well, there's a lady over here. Maybe she can shed some light on it. I was like, and then, so anyway, it was just funny because then she brought her up later. And then a Virgo ended up all over my cards, which my mom was a Virgo, because she kept saying, well, who's the Virgo? And then she said, oh, yeah. She goes, I see your dad. It's like I'm looking at him. And I did favor my dad. And but then she said, but they're not together. She goes, I see him over here and her over here. She goes, almost like a disagreement or something. And I said, well, no, they were divorced. And she goes, oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah. But I just thought, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. So I don't know. And then she brought up my grandson. She kept saying, my Scorpio son. And then she said, but there's someone else with them. I guess this was from the reading. And, we had to go through everybody's birthday. Cause I didn't know who the earth, is it earth sign or air? I don't even know what sign, but anyway, he's an Aquarius. And, she said, when I said his birthday, she goes, that's him. She goes, and he's attached to the Scorpio sun, right? And I was like, yeah, that's his son. So anyway, what she said about that, and she kind of just said what a special relationship we have, which we do. I don't know. She just really hit on some pretty amazing things in my life. And felt like it was really kind of a nice, helpful sort of thing. And I don't, like for me, I enjoy these at pertinent times of my life. And so I felt like, you know, the loss of my parents is a good time. This lady, Leslie, she really didn't ask me too many questions. Mm-hmm. That's what I think was so interesting. She didn't say, well, who do you think this lady is or whatever. She just kept talking. Yeah. And then she goes, well, here's what she's saying. And da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. And then any information that was offered is really me offering it. You know, when she would say, like, you've had a lot of loss in the last few years. And I was like, yeah, I've lost my mom and my dad. And so it was just, she picked it up, but and I just kind of validated it, but she never asked me for it. That's why I think it was so amazing, because she wasn't digging for any info. Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting awesome. Because she used all of her tools that she had. Like, we just paid for a tarot card, but she's kind of a medium. She read my palm as well, and she used the cards. And it was really cool.
Yeah, really cool. It's really interesting.
I think those kind of experiences are just fabulous. You know, they're just such a fun part of life. Mm-hmm. And I think when you can take things lighthearted and say, look, if there's anything that's going to help me feel better about a certain incident or have hope, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to listen.
Yeah. My mom says she would be scared to do it.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that from people.
A lot of people are. Yeah. I think a lot of people think it's like kind of also very like weird, you know, or
kind of voodoo-y,
satanic maybe even, you know. So I do think there is a lot of pushback.
I find that odd though. I never quite understand that from people who believe in God and Jesus, who was a healer and who taught all of the disciples healing. Yeah. These are things that they talk about in the Bible, and like people pray to angels all the time. People believe in
saints and
I've heard people say, I found a penny on the ground and that's my mom who's saying hello. And it's like, well, you do believe.
Yeah.
So I understand maybe saying, you know, I don't know that I would want to hear all that information. Yeah. I might be too it might be too overwhelming. But to say that it's like satanic and all that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
And you're praying to someone that you've never seen, you know, and having a communication with somebody who's a higher power that does all these miracles.
Right.
So it is.
All right. So what's our golden nugget? It was such a fun day. I mean, there was so much to talk about over lunch.
So glad we did it.
And a really cool thing to do with friends. Yeah. Because it's not as scary.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can process things so well when you have people. Like when I got out of my reading, you guys were like, sit down, write it all out. And it was so powerful to have that. So,
Golden nugget
for today is reach outside your comfort zone a little bit. Like try something new. Even if it's just a salt therapy, you know, just try something new, because there's so many different things out there that are available. So if now's our midlife, it's time to frickin' grow a little bit and do some things for ourselves.
Grow some. I have a screen to share.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We have a hat winner, and I have to do it because I have to. I have a screen to share.
I can't wait.
Me neither. This is our hat winner at Me Be a Cougar.
It's a guy?
Wow. Wow.
That is Me Be a Cougar.
I love it.
No way.
Wow. That's awesome.
Is.
And he's a pickleball player.
It turns out, can you see that?
Yes.
Can you read it?
Cougar sports team. That is awesome.
I was laughing so hard when I found out. I was like, I got to do this on the podcast. I cannot tell the girls until I have them recorded.
really I'm terrible. Like when you talk on the phone with people, I'm never even close. And I really, that's had a whole different vision. I
thought it was so fun. I went to pickleball and
Yay.
he said, when the hell am I going to get a hat? And I'm like, dude, you got to comment. You can't just get hats. Like, you got to comment. And he goes, I've commented every podcast. And he had this grin on his face. And I was like, I haven't seen it. What podcast are you watching? Probably because you don't have Gmail. You know, I'm going through all these technical things. And he's grinning the whole time. And he goes, Angie, you didn't pull for a hat the other day. And I go, oh, that's right. We didn't. But we had to do it on a short. I said, so we did it on a short, and it wasn't you. Anyway, I said it was me be a cougar. And he goes, I'm me be a cougar.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's like, I did that name way before cougar was even around. It was when he was young and a kid, you know, and whatever, university. And
so he plays pickleball with you?
Mark.
Oh,
he's my pickleball buddy. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Nuts.
Laugh so hard. So anyway.
Listen, oh my gosh. I thought she was like going to be
Kudos to you.
tan, dark hair, thin, tall, loves
Big
yoga.
boobs.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Shout out to me being cougar. We love it.
Oh my gosh.
Hiya.
All right. Well,
right,
thanks
very
to
good.
the listeners for listening to us jab today. Have a great week. We're sending you positive vibes. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.